Today's video is not scripted. In fact, it's not even the video I intended to release today. That will come tomorrow, and we probably will get a Friday video and several others next week, since I'm still trying to get all of the 30-some plus stories together about CNN as we keep adding more stories to that pile. So that'll probably be a very long form video, and it'll probably be broken into two. But with all that being said, again, an unscripted video. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world. Well, we can't do that explicitly because we're banned from doing that here on YouTube. But for those of you on the other platforms that I stream on, maybe I'll be over there talking about that in the near future. But again, this has to do with Moose and Squirrel and the events that are happening across the world right now. Well, never miss an opportunity to have a worthless virtue signal. Here we go. This video should actually be funny. You should find humor in some of this, although it seems pretty pathetic to me, and it's going to for quite some period of time. First of all, there's a country right now where, because of the actions of its government, it's engaged with a conflict with another government, and of course, you know the results of all of that. Well, there are other results that are rolling in now, and again, in a coordinated effort, which, again, isn't supposed to be possible, you're starting to see these different entertainment companies virtue signal just as fast and in a frenzy as they possibly can. You'll see things that make it seem like, wow, how did you coordinate all of this together? Well, I'm going to show you what's coordinated. I'll let you draw your own conclusions, but let's start first with this article from Deadline, and this was from last afternoon. Disney pausing theatrical releases in Bear following the invasion of Squirrel, and the MPA weighs in. Here we go. In an updated MPA statement, Hollywood hasn't been the most bullish about taking action in a way that would dent its bottom line, but Disney today has taken a bold move, pulling its theatrical releases from Bear temporarily in response to the country's invasion of Squirrel. We hear that the studios were scrambling to formulate their own strategies today. Disney has set the tone, issuing an economic ban against a market that minted more than $445 million at the box office last year, and as much as $1.3 billion in 2013. And that's, of course, box office mojo numbers, which aren't always 100% accurate, but they do a pretty good job. Given the unprovoked invasion of Squirrel and the tragic humanitarian crisis, we are pausing the release of theatrical films in Bear, including the upcoming Turning Red from Pixar. Oh, they were going to get a theatrical release, and we're getting straight to Disney Plus. What does that tell you about the quality of that film? Anyway, they said this in a statement in the afternoon. We will make future business decisions based on the evolving situation. In the meantime, given the scale of the emerging refugee crisis, we are working with our NGOs. In other words, we're throwing money at this problem that will likely get, pulled out by the corrupt officials that are involved in the NGOs, but that's a different story for a news channel, which I don't have, to provide urgent aid and other humanitarian assistance to refugees. Well, that's unlikely, but again, that's one of the reasons why the unmentioned forum folks have been trying to get all of these countries on board with some form of a refugee program and to soften the citizenry to accept a giant amount of people. They're trying to redistribute to where the wealthy places are versus the places that are not quite as wealthy, which will, of course, balance the scales in their minds. But look, we can't get too deeply into that. But moving on, they're not the only one doing this. You have Sony with Morbius and other Sony planned future films pulled from Bear release. That's right, we can't talk about the words or we'll get in trouble. Sony has become the latest studio to pause its release of films in Bear, including high-profile Marvel picks such as Morbius, starring Jared Leto, as the country continues its invasion of neighboring Squirrel. Given the ongoing military action in Squirrel and the resulting uncertainty and humanitarian crisis unfolding in the region, we will be pausing our planned theatrical releases in Bear, including the upcoming release of Morbius. Again, we're just restating, just to try to fill column inches. But it looks like Sony had already pushed this back, as we knew, to January 28th, after being pushed to January 3rd, and it's now pushed all the way to April 1st. So there you are. We'll have to see where that film lands. Of course, we also have another studio, Warner Brothers, doing exactly the same thing. The Batman Bear release paused in wake of Squirrel invasion. And shortly after, Disney took its stand in the afternoon and paused their theatrical release of Pixar's Turning Red in Bear. Over the country's invasion of Squirrel, Warner Brothers has officially stopped the release of its highly anticipated The Batman in Bear for now. The movie is set to open on March 3rd there, and Deadline was informed by the studio that the movie will still set a future release, that a DCP was over in the country. Note, Universal in joint venture service deal handles the distribution of Warner Brothers movies over in Bear. So I imagine Universal probably had to get on board with that. And finally, in the last story here, Paramount, of course, pulls up and says, you know what, we're not going to release Lost City, which I don't think anybody has ever heard of or cares about, and or Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in Bear. So there you go. As we witness the ongoing tragedy in Squirrel, we have decided to pause the theatrical release of our upcoming films in Bear, including The Lost City and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We stand by all those impacted by the humanitarian crisis across Squirrel. Russia and our international markets will continue to monitor the situation as it unfolds. And there you go. There are more and more of these studios that are going to continue to do things like this. But what was interesting to me is they finally decided to monitor and or stop state-sponsored propaganda coming out of Bear. They should probably do that with the Winnie the Pooh country as well, but we'll continue on from there, citing that the NAB calls on broadcasters to stop carrying state-sponsored Bear programming. Well, shouldn't they have not been doing that anyway? Anyway, the National Association of Broadcasters is calling on stations to stop carrying any state-sponsored Bear programming, citing the invasion of Squirrel. The move comes as distributors are under some pressure to remove Bear programming from their lineups. While the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, however, does not prevent private actors from exercising sound moral judgment. Interesting that the National Association of Broadcasters and, of course, the studio film industry, who are racked constantly and consistently with all kinds of scandals that wouldn't necessarily be called upstanding moral entities, is taking an action here. But again, we'll continue on to say this. All of these things are being done, obviously in tandem. I wonder what is happening behind the scenes here. Well, we all know this. First and foremost, nobody in Bear is going to be in a position to go see any of these films, except for a handful of elite. Do you know why? Because the economy has been completely destroyed in Bear. There is no one in Bear is going to be able to afford to go and see a cinematic release of anything. In fact, I think they'll be hard pressed to find places to, buy food, considering that the equivalent now of a ruble is 1 cent or less. They've got some real problems, and I think the least on their plate is going to be this worthless virtue signaling coming out of Hollywood and the like. And again, we all know why, and the cat's been out of the bag for a while, and I can't talk about the reasons why here, because again, this video will be soundly rejected by the powers that be. Maybe, just maybe, I'll get over to, let's say, Odyssey or Rumble, where I can be a little bit more free in my speech and criticism and kind of outline why all of these entities are acting in unison. And again, why after the cat was let out of the bag by the Squirrel president, why a lot of other things are at play globally right now. Anyway, I just thought this was an interesting story. I hope you did too. Be sure to support other independent content creators out there on the platform. They absolutely deserve it. They need it, and your engagement really does help. So with this video and with any of your favorite creators, be sure to use the content box down below. Also hit the like. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And you know what? Share it out if you feel like this is an important video, or it's just a little bit more information that maybe you didn't look at the same way. The worthless virtue signaling of Hollywood. Anyway, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye. Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.